Commissioner Doan,
Here.
Commissioner Duggan,
Here.
Commissioner Lysick,
Here.
Commissioner Sanders.
Here.
Wonderful. We will now hear reports from the CEO and management staff.
Good evening, President Fisher, Commissioners. Few updates here from on the CEO management staff report. First, I want to report we had our last Talking Water. We held it on. It was the second of our two Talking Waters. We held on October 10th. We had 19 people participate. We talked about the rate increase that is going to become effective November 1st. This was the rate increase that was approved in September of 2023. We found that the Talking Water has been an excellent forum and format for us to communicate with our customers. It makes it easy for them to participate without actually having to drive down to the district's office. So we're looking forward to continuing that format for further communications. Although this was probably our last major rate increase that we have to finance the Willamette. So this is a bit of a milestone for us. We've been working on getting the district's revenue base up to support the Willamette's debt for quite a few years, and this marks the end of that. So pretty excited to mark that milestone. Another update, we've talked in the past about the 189th Avenue pump station. Last Thursday, we received the signed contract, the signed grant from the state of Oregon. You might remember that the Oregon legislature included an allocation for the district's 189th Avenue pump station project in Senate Bill 1530. The governor did sign that. We had a conversation, potential veto on that, but we talked through and explained how this was going to support the governor's housing production goals. So we're moving forward with that project. We have now access to the money. Excuse me. I suspect before the end of this year, we will have enough spending to recoup the entire $3 million. And happy to report that the district received the GFOA award for its 2023 annual comprehensive financial report. This is a prestigious award, as we like to say, from GFOA. Requires that you produce an annual comprehensive financial report that really is excellent in terms of transparency and presenting information to the public. The award program actually is very beneficial. I've said this in the past when I was CFO. It's an opportunity for us to get feedback from reviewers. We do it for both the budget and for the act for give feedback on how we can improve our budget, how we can improve the act for each year. We put that into our process, and it's quite a good program. And I'd like to congratulate Justin Carlton and his team for pulling that together. I was just visiting. Probably still have one of his accountants back there working tonight as she's preparing for next year's award-winning annual comprehensive financial report. You probably heard the verdict that came back on the thermal trading plan trial. So we learned on Tuesday, but actually on Monday, Judge Shelley Russell provided a ruling on WaterWatch versus DEQ et al. We were one of the L's in the et al.'s. After hearing the entire case, Judge Russell granted our motion for a directed verdict. So this is great news. It's an outcome that we had wanted, and so we can move forward with that. If you haven't seen a copy of the ruling, let me know. We can get it. Probably we'll include it in Thursday memo. I did provide a copy to Commissioner Sanders. He attended the trial and had a high degree of interest in that. So congratulations to Dave and his team for pulling that together and getting us our thermal trading plan. I want to change topics a little bit to upcoming conferences. Catherine DeSalle will be sending you information on conferences, but want to have a bit of a conversation. So the district's policy, or the board's policy rather, is that commissioners are encouraged to attend the annual conference of either AWWA or some other non-political national conference, and in the Pacific Northwest section, AWWA and SDO. In the past, going back several years, we used to all go to the AWWA annual conference and exhibition, the ACE conference. And it was an opportunity with spouses and others to spend some time together. I don't know if the board would like to focus on trying to attend one together, or if your preference would be to continue to attend a conference of your choice. Popular conferences are ACE and Utility Management Conference, but there are others that are on this list as well. So Catherine will need information back on your choice, but I thought it'd be interesting just to hear from you if you thought there would be a benefit of joining one conference. We do that with SDO. We all attend that. And there's only one conference, obviously, for Pacific Northwest section of WWE, but the national conference. Is there any interest in going back to having one versus a choice of conferences?
Well, in my case, it's difficult for me to attend ACE because it's typically right about finals week. Although, you know, not being there for finals is one deal, but the following week I begin 14 weeks off. So it's really difficult to argue to your dean that you shouldn't be there that week when the next week you're going to be gone for 14 weeks. So I tend to stick around campus that time of year. So attending ACE is just sort of not something that I can tell you, I can't do that.
Well, maybe we'll try to emphasize having the dinner at SDO and achieve that same benefit of breaking bread together and having a chance to socialize.
I think that's an excellent idea to try to encourage for SDAO. I think with all the different things that have happened since the pandemic, I think it's tough to get everyone's schedule aligned to attend a major conference like ACE anymore. And I think when it serendipitously happens, that'll be great. But I don't know if we can get back to the way it was in prior to COVID. I think the last conference that I attended, ACE, was in Denver in 2019. So it's kind of funny that no, we're back in Denver after this experience.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's very helpful. So stay tuned for information from Catherine, and we'll get that scheduled. With that concludes my report. Andrew Carlstrom is going to present tonight's director's report. Andrew.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Well, good evening, President Fisher and Board of Commissioners. Tonight's report from the Customer Service Department is going to cover the Customer Assistance Program. And first, I wanted to just talk a little bit about assistance that TPWD provides customers. I think you know we're going to be talking tonight about the CAP, the Customer Assistance Program. This is, as you remember, the 20% income qualified water bill discount qualification is going to be provided by our partner, Community Action of Washington County, and this was a recommendation from the Rate Advisory Committee. Two other areas I wanted to cover. We do still have customer emergency assistance. This is already available to customers who will be eligible for both the emergency assistance as well as the new program. This is one time a year for a stated emergency. Qualification is going to be also provided by Community Action. Our current funding level for customers is $292 a year. Other assistance we provide, payment arrangements, and also water loss adjustments, also known as a leak adjustment, no more than one time a year. Our objectives for the Customer Assistance Program are four. One, to improve the affordability of water needs for low-income customers. Two, to reduce the number and risk of water shutoffs for low-income customers. Three, to provide a simple structure for the program. And four, to reduce the burden on low-income customers and district staff by providing third-party entities to qualify customer eligibility. Some of the features, and you've seen this before, who can qualify for the Customer Assistance Program: single-family residential customers who also qualify for programs such as LIHEAP, the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program. How much assistance is available? Again, this is a 20% discount to the water portion of the bill, and it's also applied to both fixed and volume charges. So here's the update for tonight just on our implementation and our outreach. You remember that you authorized the program this year. We do have an executed contract in place with Community Action of Washington County. And again, they'll be doing this for both emergency assistance as well as the ongoing new program. We've made changes, configuration changes in the customer information system. We began system testing today, and we'll have a better idea next week about our projected go live date, but our goal is November 1st, but that's conditional on completing the testing and any follow-up actions. Our program outreach for the program, when we go live, we'll have the information posted on the website. We're going to start the outreach in December with outreach to customers who recently received, and this will be for 2023 and 2024, one-time emergency assistance. Our next wave is going to be outreach to customers who received payment arrangements. And then our third wave is going to be more larger program marketing. And we'll be doing some analysis using our GIS folks to help determine where we're going to be targeting that marketing. More specifics on the customer assistance program. When a customer comes to us and is interested in the program, we'll help them get to community action. Community action will do the intake and the qualification. They'll notify us about the approval. Of course, we'll then provide the discount, 20% discount on fixed and usage. And you'll see this in a moment. The bill will say cap discount. The discount's going to start during the billing cycle once approval is made, and we're not going to prorate it. It'll apply to the entire cycle. The approval of the application is for 24 months. Customer must reapply after 24 months. Customer will receive an enrollment letter and email at the time they're registered, and then a notification 60 days prior to the expiration of their eligibility. So looking at a sample bill, on the left side of the bill are the water charges. You'll see the volume charges, the fixed charges, and then that third line is new, and this only applies for customer assistance program recipients. That's the cap discount, and that's 20% applied to volume and fixed charges. Last thing I wanted to mention is that we do have a very positive relationship and partnership with Community Action. And as with other activities that TVWD engages in, effective partnerships really benefit the community. And I asked Community Action if they could provide us with a sense of how the value they see, because they do services for a lot of other folks. And I'll just read it here. This is from Kemp Shuey, their executive director. Community Action values its partnership with Tuolumne Valley Water District, especially through programs like the Customer Emergency Assistance Program and the Customer Assistance Program. By connecting low-income households to these programs, we help ensure that struggling families stay current with their water bill, which is critical to maintaining stable housing. Together, we are addressing critical needs for some of our community's most valuable members. And we'll give you an update through the CEO announcements at the November work session. With that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
What's the chance the other side of the bill matches what this side of the bill is doing?
Well, earlier this morning, I had a call with some folks from Clean Water Services, and they're trying to find their footing in this area. They have to work with their cities. It's a little bit more difficult, but I'm not sure that they have no official position right now. Officially, there's no official position, so I really don't have anything to report. But we will continue to work with them to serve our customers as best we can. But that's a decision that their elected board will need to obviously make. I think that we can support it, though. We've demonstrated that that is feasible.
I think being able to share that data about how many customers we're able to positively impact very quickly would go a long way toward strengthening that argument with them also.
Excellent point.
Thank you.
So, President Fenner, that concludes the report of the Chief Executive Officer and management staff.
Well, we will now move into commissioner communications. Reports of meetings attended. The commissioners will now report on recent meetings attended. We're done.
Oh, we're in alphabetical order.
Yeah. The first.
Okay, I attended 3, the work session, the JWSC meeting last Friday. and tonight's meeting. Nothing spectacular in any of those. Now, next week we have the Willamette Intake Facilities meeting. 2 weeks, sorry.
Commissioner Duggan.
Okay, on the 23rd of September, we had a TVWD Finance Committee meeting where Commissioner Lysak and I received updates and information about rates and charges housekeeping item that is on tonight's consent agenda. On the 25th of September, I attended the Metro Impact meeting where there was additional public input and testimony regarding the urban growth expansion being proposed in the Sherwood area. And that's all in preparation for impact as a committee recommending to the Metro board on the staff proposal to expand the urban growth boundary in that part of the metro area. On the 30th of September, I attended the first Talking Water webinar, and also on the 10th, I attended the second in that series about our rates that are going into effect here November 1st. On the 1st of October, we had our board work session where we had that wonderful taste test. On the 3rd of October, we had our regular WWSS board meeting where I think we awarded as a board one of the last big, if not the last big contract for the commissioning of the new pipeline and integration. So that was a big milestone. On the 9th of October, we had the Regional Water Providers Consortium Board meeting where we had a short budget discussion. And then we had a number of presentations, one from Tualatin, one from Hillsborough, and another from the city of Beaverton about cogeneration, about their in-pipe generating facilities, and then also Beaverton in their solar facility on top of Sexton Mountain. On the 14th, I attended the joint CPO number 1 and number 7 meeting where Measure 118 was discussed. And then we also had updates from the regional service providers, which TVWD was there, and Lindsay Wachnick did an excellent job fielding questions, including one regarding fluoride, or actually a couple of questions regarding fluoride. And for a non-native person, she did very well. But I'm afraid that we're going to, as Hillsborough goes through their election and whatever fallout comes from that, we're going to get a lot more, well, with the Willamette integration, we're going to get a lot more questions about fluoride coming up. I just got a sense that that's something that we got to be aware of. We have tonight's meeting, and then also I had the opportunity on the 26th and 27th of September to attend the Oregon Board of Engineering Examiners Symposium Foresight, which was a very excellent 2-day webinar that the district sent me to, that I'm not claiming as a meeting, but I wanted to say that was an excellent opportunity for educational and getting professional development hours, and also just seeing what various engineering projects and initiatives there are around the region. So that's it for tonight.
Commissioner Lysak.
I had the Finance Committee on the 23rd, our work session on the 1st, and again, that taste test was so fun. Really, really, really enjoyable. Glad we could do that. The Barney JWC quarterly board meeting and an executive session on the 11th, and then tonight's board meeting and executive session.
Commissioner Sanders.
So it sounds like almost everything on my list was covered for work sessions. The JWC Barney thing, it looks like there's some challenges with getting attendance, and I'm wondering if there wasn't, I think there was a comment made about perhaps looking at a different time and day for that meeting. So I wouldn't be surprised if it maybe got moved to the evening or something like that. Is that maybe what they're thinking about? I don't.
Well, so we've raised the issue, should it be on Friday? Because sometimes people take an early weekend and that's been a challenge for folks. And then should it be in the evening? What we've heard from the Hillsborough staff is that the evenings are difficult because so many people have evening meetings. So and they don't like to get it outside of Friday because people have other meetings on other evenings. So if you would like, I could bring this back to the GWC Management Committee and see if we can get it on the agenda so the board can discuss it. The other alternative, as we were trying to gather a quorum, maybe we can have alternates in depth that the board can identify in advance so that we could have a little bit more flexibility for short. The issue for us, we had 3 commissioners there, but 2 of the entities, actually 3 of the entities only really had one of their commissioners there. So for the city of Hillsborough, they had 1, and then Robbie Hammond appointed Raheem to be an alternate, which I'm not sure how that worked. And then neither Forest Grove nor Beaverton had 2 members, and that's why we're having a problem with quorum. So TBWD produced 47% of the quorum. Even though we're about 25% of the GWC. So
There's some challenges there right now, and I guess they'll have to work that out in due time.
would you like me to bring this back to see if they can work on
I
that?
wondered if that wasn't already being discussed amongst the kind of management team.
We have discussed it, but it doesn't seem to go further. I can push it past discussing into coming up with proposals that we present to the GWC board, if that would be helpful.
So if we have the same quorum problem next time, I bet you it moves to a higher level of discussion.
Well, I think it was the exact same comment to end the meeting this quarter that we had the previous quarter. It wasn't as much of a quorum struggle, but there was still the same challenge.
I'll work on some proposals with them, see if we can't come up with something where the quorum becomes less of a problem.
And then also, I attended the Willamette River Water Coalition Board meeting. That's Tigard and Sherwood and ourselves and Tualatin. And this is really cool. They recommend the GSI consultant, correct me if I'm wrong, recommends that we certify our water rights by 2047. So just around the corner. Is that about right? No later than 2047.
No later than,
No later than.
but I think, I think, so the idea is to certify the amount that we can certify minimally under the law to leave us some flexibility on the next certification. But 2047 is our outside date, but it feels like it's going to be much sooner than that.
Clark will still be our lawyer in 2047, right?
I had to promise that I would stay around, you know,
But I think what we plan to do is to come back with some proposals, because there are different ways to structure this. We can go with a minimalist amount that we actually certificate, or we can do a max amount or something in between. I think we need to come back to the WRWC with some pros and cons as to why we would make a recommendation of which approach to go with. And it may not be in the interest of all parties to do it the same way. So there may be some discussions there.
So it's really clear cut.
it's going to be a dialogue
Yeah.
and you are part of it.
I don't know if I'll be a part of it in 2047.
At the school board, we had a saying that if you're not there, you'll soon be chair.
Well, my meeting's attended. What has not been said already from the other board members, on the 24th of September, I attended SDAO's Metro Breakfast Meeting where we heard some quick updates from SDAO and heard from a special guest speaker, former former Senator Rick Metzger about possible transportation packages that are what could be part of the next statewide transportation package. On the 25th, I attended the Taylor's Ferry Reservoir Open House to meet with community members, which was really nice, and hear their thoughts about what's going to happen to the new reservoirs we're going to be building. And then I headed to Tempe for a conference of local electeds. And between having conversations with local electeds from the Phoenix Tempe area, we got to go on a tour of this planned community called Cul-de-sac. And we all thought, all of us, that were coming in for this conference thought, oh, it's going to be like a cul-de-sac, like you've seen in the, everyone lives around a cul-de-sac. They all have their barbecues and everything. No, it's the first ever planned community in a metro area that's been developed specifically for no cars. And so it looks very, what I could describe it as very European in the architecture. And every resident, they were told, is given an electric bike when they move in. So it was quite fascinating to sort of, sit with a developer. They walked us on a tour of it. Very interesting to see what options are for communities in the future who don't want to have cars in their neighborhoods. And then I attended tonight's meeting. Next, we'll move on to topics to be raised by commissioners. Do we have any topics to be raised by the commissioners? Seeing none, we will now move into public comment. Public comment time is set aside for persons wishing to address the board on items on the consent agenda and matters not on the agenda. Additional public comment will be invited on agenda items as they are presented. Do we have any persons who would like to comment?
Not seeing any this evening.
Okay. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Any board members may request an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Any items requested to be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion will be considered immediately after the board has approved those items which do not require discussion.
I so move.
We have a second.
A second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion passes. Consent agenda is adopted. We are now moving on to the business agenda. There are none, so I will move us to adjournment.